least not 6% in June, more than double the expected drop. The median price for homes sank as well, down to about $215,000 nationwide. This having a big impact on the men and women in the military. From the active duty personnel living off base and constantly moving from city to city, to the reservists and guardsmen called into duty who have to compensate for their new military paychecks. All this means a surprising number of military personnel deployed overseas are losing their houses back at home. With us now, the author of Accidental Landlord, Dani Babb. Dani's going to be traveling to Kuwait, Iraq, and possibly Afghanistan to talk with military personnel about how they can save their houses back home. How bad is the problem, Dani?
It's pretty bad, John. We're looking at about 4 times the national foreclosure rate within 10 miles around military bases. Just to give you a couple of examples here, Columbia, South Carolina, which is close to Fort Jackson, where the Army does training and recruiting, had a 492% increase in foreclosures January to April this year over last. Woodbridge, Virginia, next to the Marine Corps base, Quantico, had a 414% increase. Nationally, it's 217% around military bases, where the general public is experiencing around a 59% increase, so about 400% more than the general population.
I think most Americans would be outraged that, you know, the people who are serving us, keeping us alive and keeping us free, are getting their houses foreclosed on. You know, is there anything that can be done short of, you know, some of these soldiers and sailors, Marines and so forth, staying up to date on their payments?
Yeah, there are. First of all, there's the Service Members Civil Relief Act, which temporarily drops the rate to 6%. The spouse here, if one is left home or the service member overseas, needs to call the bank and show copies of orders, and they can get their rate dropped. Some banks are now starting to realize that this is a very significant problem, and they are beginning to work with the service members. Thank goodness, are finally stepping up.
I'm guessing part of the problem is that a lot of these notices just don't reach the soldiers when they're in places like Afghanistan, right?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And often they hear about it from their spouse when they have their 10-15 minutes of phone time and they're calling to check on the families, and they have to hear their husband or wife, distressed over their home instead. One thing they can do is, a lot of service members do have access to the internet, and if they can sign up for e-bills, they can at least keep tabs on if their payments are late. And a lot of lenders also are willing to do a loan modification for the service members now. They're starting to step up a bit and actually drop the principal to what their home is worth.
You've alerted a lot of people to a real serious problem. Dani Babb, thank you.
It is. Thank you.
Let's take a look at the Dow now.